Darien Gap is a remote, road-restricted jungle between Colombia and Panama. It's the only break in the Pan American highway. It can take up to 10 days to reach the other side, if you make it out at all. In recent years, it's become one of the most dangerous migration routes in the world. Reporting from journalists who crossed it describe steep, muddy terrain, river crossings, drownings, assaults, wild animals, and criminal groups who are making a fortune. You can only imagine what kinds of reasons people would have to even consider this. After watching a few documentaries, what stuck with me was not only how dangerous it was, but how much life there was in a place that was so associated with death. To the point where you have to step over the fallen soldiers and let go of anyone's hand who isn't able to defend. There was this one kid who was holding on to his guitar like it was a piece of his soul. And even when there were moments that it seemed like he would have to be left behind, he refused to put it down. And when they finally reached that refugee camp and they all sat there playing it like they didn't have a care in the world, it almost felt unreal. Like it was only a bad dream, and now they were free to begin again. This is resilience in one of its purest forms. Not only the strength to keep breathing, but the strength to keep carrying that sacred piece of your soul through hell. Some people make it through pain, but they lose their song. And then there are people who remind you that even when life becomes a Guns N' Roses song, and you're covered in mud, and the fear and grief and uncertainty get the best of you, you find the strength to keep moving forward and to protect what is sacred. And maybe that's what so many of us are trying to do in our own lives. Maybe your Darien Gap is not a literal jungle, but a breakup that shattered your identity, or the death of someone you loved, the loss of a child or a parent, a season so painful and disorienting that every day feels like trying to limp through mud with no guarantee of safety ahead. Maybe you know what it feels like when people around you can't be bothered with your pain, and life keeps moving on and you have no choice but to move with it. Because in certain seasons, if you stop for too long, despair starts circling like a predator. And that's why this metaphor hits so hard, because there really are periods in life that feel exactly like that. Dangerous, confusing, exhausting, and merciless. Places where you can't go back. You can't stay where you are, and the only option is forward, even when forward hurts. And during those seasons, the great question becomes, what are you going to carry with you? What part of your soul will you refuse to abandon in the mud? The most inspiring part is not only that someone survives a crossing, it's that someone survives without becoming empty shelves of their former selves. They come through with a glowing ember that's hot enough to set anything on fire. A song, a dream, a story, a prayer, something that makes them even more resilient and reminds them to cherish their life no matter what kind of situation they end up in. If we can find that in ourselves, it does more than only save us. It becomes a light to other people. When someone sees you keep walking through heartbreak without becoming cruel, and they see you carry your music through the grief, and they see you make it to the other side with your humanity still intact, it reminds them that they might be able to do the same. Resilience is contagious in the best way. Courage echoes. One person keeping their song can give another person permission to go looking for theirs. Maybe the goal is not only to survive the darkest season. Maybe the goal is to play something beautiful afterwards. Still able to sit under a dim light after the nightmare and make sound out of suffering. Still able to remind the people around you that pain is real, the jungle is real, the danger is real, but the human spirit is also real. So when life becomes a jungle, what sacred part of yourself will you refuse to leave behind or allow anyone else to steal from you? Are we going to allow what shook us to our very core in the jungle harden our hearts forever? Because that may be the very thing that carries you through your metaphorical El Darien and will one day become an inspiration for a song that helps someone else realize that it will always be worth it to keep moving forward.